So I'm Amy Polvado. I am the founder and CEO of a company called Facilimax. We are an AI platform for commercial real estate. I've been in commercial real estate for 22 years. And I started back in 2003. I was an entrepreneur back then too. I started a construction company and I was building retail stores and then I became a real estate investor. So I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, but then I became a tech founder. That was my latest.
Well, welcome to the Self Care Your Way to Success podcast.
Well, thanks for having me. Of course, that's so awesome. And this is such a cool topic too, because I always tell people all the time, kind of is like self-care is not selfish, right? And you're a founder and you will put yourself last just because you're trying to run your business and you're trying to do all these things. And me, I'm a single mom. So, it's like you eventually get to you. So this is a great topic. This is awesome. So I'm Amy Polvado. I am the founder and CEO of a company called Facilimax. We are an AI platform for commercial real estate. I've been in commercial real estate for 22 years. And I started back in 2003. I was an entrepreneur back then too. I started a construction company and I was building retail stores and then I became a real estate investor. So I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, but then I became a tech founder. That was my latest company. And I started my tech company in 2019. And I was doing both. I was doing real estate and tech for a long time. And then I went completely into technology in 23. So that's we basically optimize real estate and it's really super inefficient. And so we use AI to kind of optimize the real estate process.
That's very innovative and very niche. So I just got into residential investments. I do it globally, but I just do like short-term and long-term rentals with residential. But I've always been interested in commercial real estate. So I'll definitely have to learn more about that.
That's where I started too. I mean, when I was a general contractor, I became a house flipper. I mean, because every GC thinks they can start flipping houses, and that's how I started my my real estate investing was house flipping, and then I got into single family rentals, and then I got into commercial. So yeah, everybody kind of graduates that way.
Yeah, I feel like there are phases as you get more comfortable with larger investments, the process.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's wonderful. What is some advice that you will offer a beginner that is just getting into investing?
I think the most important thing would be just to learn from other people, get into a group and really kind of learn from other people that are doing it or actively involved and find a mentor and those kinds of things. You can read books all day long. It's not going to prepare you for what a real estate investment is going to do for you, right? I mean, like you need to not everybody had the luxury of the background that I did, right? I came from construction and that's a super advantage when you're getting into real estate investing because most of the time you're managing property or you're developing property or fixing property, right? So, but that's just one aspect of it, right? I had never done leasing. I had never done property management. I'd never done marketing for property. So I had to learn kind of all of that stuff too. So I just had one sliver of it, but it was a nice sliver.
Yeah.
But you really do need to, partner your way there. If you can,
Yeah.
Partner alongside somebody who's been doing it for a long time and kind of learn what they learned and just don't rely on books. That's just not, I mean, more of it's on the job training, I guess. And the best way you get that is just kind of partnering with somebody who's been doing it for a while and learn as much as you can from those people for sure.
Absolutely. You definitely can't learn how to drive in a parked car. So you have to get out there.
You do.
That's wonderful advice. So throughout your journey and navigating from construction and kind of broadening your interest in your investments in real estate and venturing into tech eventually and now being in tech, what has been some of your most memorable experiences so far?
I've had a lot of them. I've had little moments that you don't even think that for some people wouldn't matter, but I used to operate multifamily and a lot of my investments were multifamily properties. And on one of our properties, we had replaced the siding and we used in a more expensive material than we could have, right? I mean, we used hardy siding, right? And we chose to do that partly because it was a more durable material. It had fire prevention, abilities, and it just looked nicer. And we were trying to upgrade the property a little bit. But because we had taken that path and we chose to spend more money on a property than we normally would have, we actually ended up saving some residents because in a resident, one of their units caught on fire.
Wow.
It did not spread anywhere else because we had chosen to use hardy siding. And the fire department said we had saved lives because we chose to use the hardy siding instead of just regular wood siding. And we didn't cheap it out and we chose to use that. So some of those things that you don't get, you don't get the accolades for, it sticks with me because like I saved people's lives because I chose to use the right, more expensive stuff, right? So those are pretty cool. And I've gotten awards and those are nice. And it really is pretty cool. I mean, I got a congressional award.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
that
super
was really
noteworthy.
cool. I got two of those there's an association called the National Association for Women in Real Estate, and I won their Residential Leader Award in 23. And when I did that, I got these two congressional awards that came with it, honoring that achievement, which was super cool. I wasn't expecting that at all. And 23 was a banner year because I got another award in Austin for a developer award again for Austin women. And BizNow has a women leading in real estate, and I got that award too. And that was super cool because I had 3 people nominate me, and I didn't know those 3 people and I very well, but they had heard of me through other your networking, your marketing works. The marketing was working, and so that was really cool. It's nice to get accolades for stuff, especially when you're in construction and real estate. And even on the private equity side, like there's no women. I was barely any women that do that. I mean, no joke. I would go to the private equity conferences, and the only way I could find the other women is when I went to the bathroom because there were so many men that we were lost in the sea of blue suits that I would bump into the women, no joke, in the women's bathroom. I'm like, hey, Marie, haven't seen you all day. Like, how are you? And things like that. Because it really, I know, it's crazy town. So
how was that? What is that like being a woman in entrepreneurship and business and being in such a male-dominated field? How has that impacted your experience?
It seems like that's all I've ever done. Because I started, when I started in construction, it was male dominated. And I got into real estate, that's male dominated. I got a private equity, that was male dominated. Now I'm in tech and it's male dominated. And there's been moments where it wasn't. It is a different, I'd hate to say this, but guys think differently, guys act differently. There's this phenomena that I was researching one time where it was, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's about how women feel like they have to act like men in order to get ahead. And I can't remember what this called, and a lot of women are like just opting out. And so in order for they're gonna hit the glass ceiling because they don't want to act like guys, and because they don't want to act like guys and they have other priorities or whatever it might be, they're not doing the things to promote themselves in order to get ahead. And so it's perpetuating the glass ceiling. And I was reading this because I spoke at a conference, the Purdue Women. I graduated from Purdue University and I spoke at the Purdue Women's Conference. So I was like researching, okay, what's my topic going to be? And I came across this, and it was really kind of interesting that a lot of women felt like they had to act contrary to kind of who they were in order to succeed. And then that really got my mind thinking about, okay, well, how do we stop that? How can we get women? Because if you look at all the research out there, women lead businesses much better. Women invest better than men do. Like women-led businesses perform better. Women-led investment firms perform better. Like we're more risk adverse. So therefore, we look at risk management differently. And, we are a little bit more cautious, but on the long run, because we do that, we perform better, right? So it's kind of, it's kind of an interesting thing. And so I just, when you're in a male dominated field, I don't run into a lot of women. Therefore, I've had to over time kind of adapt my mannerisms and adapt my my way of thinking. And I hate to say this, but yes, I think very much like a guy, which sucks because especially when you get into a room, women, I kind of like switch my brain and and talk differently. And I wish there just were more women. I really do, because back to this, we think differently and we just manage better, but there's just not. And so I've had to over time learn, that guys are going to be rude and blunt, and you just can't get your feelings hurt, and you can't get overwhelmed by things, and you have to just, take all the passive aggressive, stupid crap that people throw your way and just kind of let it roll off your back and no big deal and move on with life, right? Not be offended all the time. But because people are truly offensive. And honestly, I feel sorry for men at this point, because I don't think they even realize how stupid they're being. They're just being really stupid. And you just kind of look at him like going, okay, did you just realize that you were super offensive? No, you didn't, and some men are getting it, and they're like, well, wait a minute, we can't say that. Would you say that to a guy? And when I hear that, I'm like, oh, well, yeah, they're getting it, right? There's
Yeah.
someone's getting it. But a lot of times they just don't even realize how offensive they're being. It doesn't register.
Yeah, I think also there's a large percentage of men in business who just don't care because they know that they take up the majority of the space. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like that power in numbers sort of thing. It's like, it's a woman. I can move around kind of how I want to, and there won't be any repercussions. And I definitely believe that's the basis for a lot of the behavior.
It is, and it's just
Yeah.
a lot of it is just ingrained habits that men are
Yeah.
used to, and they're not expecting women leading. I think it's getting better slowly but surely, but I mean, there was lots of times where, I mean, I have all sorts of stories, but
Yeah. I
I think navigating that and learning to navigate that more, there should be a class for women.
can,
Yeah, there should be a class for women to understand how to navigate that, because if you want, we need more women in leadership. There aren't going to be more women in leadership until there are women in leadership, right? If they don't, people can't see that there are women there. It's never going to happen. And there's going to be trailblazers, obviously, that need to do some of that. But we need more of those. We don't have enough. And so women are just going to have to learn how to play the game till we don't have to play the game anymore.
I
And
love that. Well
is
stated.
yeah, it's different. It's definitely interesting.
Absolutely. I'd
Yeah.
love to know, and I'm sure the audience would love to know more about what have been some of your, I don't know, I have just had these practices, like sometimes guided meditation, sometimes words of
Mhm.
affirmation, but I have
Yeah.
these different like mental fortitude exercises that I use just to keep myself in a certain space to navigate business and to be able to manage having to enter spaces and have a certain level of grit, in these
Mhm.
agreements with myself. What are
Mhm.
some of those practices or techniques that you might use or may have used over the years to help you develop that mental fortitude to navigate a male dominated field or so many male dominated fields, actually?
Yeah, I know, right? Tech, construction, real estate. Everybody has their moments, where you start to question yourself, right? And that's totally fair. Everybody is. Even it's not just, occupied by the female domain, right? I mean, men do it too, right? You get imposter syndrome, and you kind of have to talk yourself through it. Over time, I guess as you get old and cagey like me, it doesn't bother you as much. But when I was younger, it did. I did a lot of stuff. And I did have to, if I would tell you a story, I'm divorced from an angry guy, and I did survive that relationship. And a lot of the times when I'm doubting myself, I picture it's in the voice of my ex-husband, right? And that's
Yeah.
what I even hear it in his voice, right? So anytime I'm like,
We're going to get right back to the talk, but I want to offer you a free gift. I know. No, it's actually free. Like you don't have to pay anything. There's no shipping and handling or no processing fee. Literally, all you have to do is click the link, download the Self Care Your Way to Success Chakra Alignment Journal, and start journaling and start your path to wellness. It's going to help you get aligned in mind, body, and spirit, help you organize your entrepreneurial goals, and help you get back centered and fill your cup so you can pour back into the communities that you serve. So click the link, download your free copy of Self Care to Success Chakra Alignment Journal. And then give me some feedback. Let me know what you want to see in this journal, because this is the cool part about the virtual journal. As I add more to it, you get the updates. So, no, you'll never have to buy another journal. You'll never have to download another version of it. You're going to get all of the updates as the new editions come out. And this is like my gift back to humanity. This is my gift back to the almost 600 women who have joined in solidarity to support the success of this podcast. And I want to see you all prioritizing your self-care. So click the link, get your self-care journal, and let's get back to this talk with this wonderful, wonderful woman in business.
And that's I even hear it in his voice, right? So anytime I'm like, what are you doing here? Why do you think you can belong here? What are you thinking? All of those like negative thoughts really, in his crazy town, I hear him in his voice. And so I just have to talk myself out of that and stop second guessing myself. And sometimes, no joke, if when it's really bad, I will visualize it in him like sitting in front of me, and I'll punch him in the face, like no joke. I mean, when it's like when I like get in this cycle, and I'll get in these cycles of like I start to spiral and I start to doubt myself and all those things, and I have to kick myself in the butt and like get out of this. I can't stay in here anymore, and I try not to be there. But yeah, it is kind of interesting. And I think the past couple of years, I've adopted a couple of other things too. So in 24, I had a mantra, and they exemplified itself in different ways, but my mantra was to be intentional. And that was my theme for the year. And what am I going to do to be intentional? And I was building a business. So my deal was to be intentional was I want to meet everybody in my network. I want to do that. That's how I'm going to do. So but plus I want to build my network. So I was connecting with a ton of people on LinkedIn. Like I doubled my following, more than doubled my following in a year. And once I connected with them, they got a lovely little message from me that said, "Hey, my 24 resolution is to actually meet the people in my network. So if you're game, here's my calendar and here's my link. And you could schedule yourself as a 30-minute meeting." And I became the master of the 30-minute meeting. And I counted it up. And over a year, I met 1,500 people, potential investors, potential customers, people that I needed to connect with that could connect me to potential investors or potential customers. It was actually a really cool, experiment. And so now this year's theme is to be disciplined. So, and the way I manifest that is I create schedule on my calendar, and then I like plan it all out. And so I plan the time for self-care in there too, right? So I have this like, I call it the 50-20-30, but basically 50% of my time is tasks and stuff that I have to get done and just knock out and complete. And then, and 30% of the time is on strategic things. What do I need to do for the business? So like spend 30% of my time on improvements or whatever it is I need to, like marketing plans or something that's just not task oriented. And it's like thinking about stuff in the future. And then 20% of the time is actually on me and how is it exercise or read or invest my time in on stuff, right? Whatever it might be. So I like look at my calendar. So on Sundays, I will go and plan out my week. And I use that method. And sometimes I get, when I like actually think about, I'll color code it just to make sure that I'm getting the ratios right. And then that's one thing. But then to be disciplined, you actually got to follow through on the plan that you created, right? And that has been so hard for me this year. Like I know that God's taking me down this path for me to learn that I need to do this, right? And so, I mean, I don't think I have been disciplined enough this year to actually follow through 100% on any week yet. And so now I'm starting to track, how did you actually do what you put on your calendar that week? And I was just like, and I'm getting closer, but it's like so painful to do. But I'm getting better at it. But yeah, but I have to, you put in the work blocks, you put in your strategy blocks of time, you have all your other meetings that you're scheduling. I block out a time for all I try to do for me for strategically is 30 minutes of something that week. Like if it's of exercise, I gotta do 30 minutes a day. So either I walk, I do yoga, I like do something, I move for 30 minutes, right? So that's my exercise. And then I have these slots throughout the day where I'll do meditation or prayer. And those are 3 times a day, but they're like 15 minutes and that'll like break up my day. But that's what I've started to do. And it's really just, and then once it's on my calendar, now I'm like, okay, you have to do it.
Yeah.
You have to match or you have to do what's on your calendar. And I'll get, distracted and I'll get sidetracked and a meeting will go over or whatever it might be. And so I'm starting to get better, but this one's really hard. Be intentional was easier. I did that all year. I networked with a bunch of people. I met a ton of, that one was easy for me.
Yeah.
Hard. I'm
I
like,
love your strategy. It's brilliant. Like it's absolutely brilliant. And it makes me feel a lot less crazy because I thought that I was being a little too like rigid with myself.
yeah,
This morning I sat down because I found myself kind of all over the place with my
yeah,
schedule starting out this year and kind of adding more things. And I said, you know what? I have to pump the brakes. And
yeah,
I sat and I blocked everything into these time slots and even filled it in with the self-care,
yeah,
workouts, meals,
yeah.
naps, just little different things that I have to do. I think your plan is absolutely brilliant, especially your being intentional year. I love that you theme your year with like this one focus and you
Right.
center everything around that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And at the end of the year, I was like, and even like halfway through the year, I was like, let me just count how many meetings I've had, And I was like, holy crap, that's like a lot of meetings. Like I was no joke, 8 or 9 meetings a day. People were getting
Yeah.
on my calendar, and I was like, okay, yeah. But yeah, and that was, I mean, especially for brand or marketing promotion,
Yeah.
it was great because now I'm getting referrals from those people that I met last year, and people are referring me to other people. And
Wow.
so it actually works. It seems like, when marketing always takes a long time. It just takes
Yeah.
longer than you think it's going to take. But yeah, that actually works. And now I continue that. That's a part of my discipline I need to do. I have that, I still do that whole meeting everybody when they get this. But now I'm like using an AI solution to help me, and I don't have to send all the messages.
Yeah,
I
you
can
don't
use it, but it still fills up my calendar, and I can still meet people, and I can be a little more productive. But yeah, but
yeah.
being disciplined about, actually doing what's on your calendar, that one's a little more elusive.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful. I read the biography of Henry Ford. I mean, I love reading and learning about successful people and just like those little things that they did that you
Yeah,
won't really find out from like an interview or like some press or something. You have to really like kind of delve into their lives and like their kind of like
yeah,
the rules that they live by. And one thing that he did, he made sure to build a very strong and wide network. That was a man with an amazing network. And in his biography, there were like these quotes about him from different people, just random people, not specifically super personal friends or family, but just a
mhm,
wide network of professional connections. And
yeah,
people would say things like he was so thoughtful, memorable, he made me feel important, and just what he did was he kept in contact with people, whether it was just reaching out on a consistent basis, not like daily, maybe bi-weekly or
yeah,
monthly or just
yeah.
something. But
Mhm.
and that contributed a lot to his level of success with developing the Ford Motors company and a few of his other endeavors. So I mean, it's absolutely brilliant, like building a network. And I think that nugget of wisdom is so important for our audience because we're in this social media phase of
Mhm.
communication. And so, what I find to be true is that a lot of people feel more comfortable connecting over social media or in
Yeah,
comments, or maybe DMs, but actually hearing someone's voice and seeing their
yeah.
face is few and far in between. And I think it's something that we need to keep alive.
For sure. I mean,
Yeah.
all my meetings were via Zoom, not all of them. Sometimes I had coffee ones too. And the trick was you can use Calendly. And when you use Calendly, it's super cool. You can say, do you want Zoom or do you want to meet at this coffee shop? Right. And you
Wow.
can put a location so they can pick. they want to meet in person or they want to meet via virtual. And so it was really cool. It was really easy to set up. And I was like, that's a great idea. So I just picked a coffee shop that was close to me. And if they wanted to meet me there, great. They picked it and we'd go have coffee. And then I had to learn the trick of like, I had these back-to-back meetings. The coffee shop was a meeting. Then I had to like, make sure I had a little bit of time to get there. And thankfully, it wasn't that far away, but I always had to make sure where my meetings were. But yeah, no, and so I did have a lot of coffee meetings where I would just kind of meet up and we would meet for like, 30 minutes and chat. And it was great. I did that.
Yeah.
I did a lot for people that were here in Austin. But yeah.
Are there any interesting nuggets of wisdom that you've taken with you that you've learned from these 1,500 meetings? Because I'm sure
Yes.
you learned
Yes.
something from meeting with all of
Have
these people.
Yeah, have a CRM system because I was like, holy crap. I remember the guy in Nashville that does this, and I need to connect you with him, and I can't remember his name. And then I'm like going through and I'm like, holy hell, I know Brent. I do this all the time. I rename people like you're going to be Carrie or whatever. I'll get the
Oh,
K
wow.
right, and then I'll be like, it's and then I would struggle because I'm like, oh my gosh, I've had all these meetings and I don't have like any sort of way to, reconnect with these people. That was stupid. And so, yes, if you're going to do it, some sort of CRM, even if it's Excel, it's better than what I did. I was using my email and that was dumb.
Yeah.
But yeah, but create some sort of way, CRM or contact management system or something. That way, when you're actually going through this, endeavor, that you're going to
Yeah.
actually be able to take advantage of it. And so I'm building all that back now. And we're going back through all my calendar and we're putting it all together so I know who I actually talk to and where they're from. And so I'm in the middle of doing all of that right now, but that's pain. That was a painful lesson to learn. So yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
thank you. What are some of your favorite self-care practices to just to offer you that lifestyle balance during your scheduled personal time on your calendar?
So the 30 minutes of moving every day, right? So that's one. Just move. I'm a big walker. I can't run. I've had three babies, so running is not in the cards for me. Just saying. Every woman gets it, no guy gets it. Just FYI.
Yeah.
Yeah, no guy gets it. But I've had three babies, so that doesn't work. Plus, I play college sports, so my knees aren't the greatest. So yeah, running's not in the cards for me. But walking is. I like yoga. I do yoga. And when things get a little crazy, I do meditation. I can do that. So those are my three. I put three time slots on my calendar, like 15-minute time slots on my calendar to pray or meditate. So I do that. And I'm a little ADD. So I will start a new exercise routine here. They're all like twist. I can't do the same thing every day. That's just not me. If I did that, I would go insane. So I'll do wall Pilates or I'll do yoga or I'll do this or I'll do that. And then I'll like start stuff and switch stuff. But for me, as long as I'm moving, I think it's great. Right. And so
Yeah.
I'll do that. Or I'll try, for a while I was doing CrossFit. Now I don't do CrossFit anymore. And I think it's that. And I think also I'm getting older. And so my mom died way too young. And my dad is 82 and he's got a lot of problems. So I'm very conscious about what I eat. I'm very conscious about my sugar intake. I'm starting to get more conscious about the kinds of foods that I'm eating. And so taking tests on understanding what foods are good for me to make sure that I kind of do that and just kind of limiting, all the bad stuff. So I'm really trying to do that because both my mom and dad had type 2 diabetes. And so it's a big concern for me. And so I don't want to develop that later in life. So it's just the variety of effort. I'm not a person that can sit in a gym. So I can't go to a gym and have all these people looking at me and being on a machine and that's just not my gig, right? I can go play basketball. I can go on a walk. I can go rowing. I can go do something else, but that's not I need to be outside doing something. So I would much rather do that. So that's more my jam. And it's not like I won't work out in a gym. Yeah, it's not, I've done it. I did it for a little while and it's just not my thing. So yeah, maybe it's my
Yeah.
ADD coming back.
Maybe I like to call it entrepreneurial brain. It's
There
like
you go.
you get a multitude of thoughts and then you have to sort them later. It's kind of, I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I always like to share with every entrepreneur that I have a conversation with because my focus with the podcast is women's wellness and
Mhm.
specifically entrepreneurs, because like you said, when we started our interview, a lot of times we get so wrapped up in the success of the business and serving our community that we tend to neglect ourselves and our own needs and put those kind of as secondary, and we
Yeah.
prioritize so many other things. So I always like to share the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine and wellness that I learned while studying health and wellness and nutrition with Harvard Medical School's executive education, and it's for
Cool.
entrepreneurs. It includes nutrition, physical activity, rest and sleep,
Yep.
stress management, social connections, and avoidance of risky substances. So I love that you have a combination of all of those. You're already actively adding those into the way that you care for yourself, and it's
Yeah.
wonderful. I love to see it.
Thanks. No, it's pretty cool. I love
Yeah.
to stop aging. I don't know if you can do that. Like, can I stay this till I'm like 100?
I know. If I find out what it is, I would be torn between marketing it to make a
Yeah.
trillion dollars or just keep it to myself so that it doesn't get
Yeah. No,
it
I
doesn't
know.
get overused.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. So I'll divulge. I'm 50.
And you look great.
Thank you. And
Yes.
I am constantly, yeah, I don't know if it's just kind of something I have a fascination with or obsession with, not sure which word you would use, but I am like on this kick of, okay, my mom died way too young.
Yeah.
My grandmother lived to be 90. My one grandmother, her mom lived to be 92. My mom's grandmother, my great grandmother lived to be 96, and my mom died way too young. She died at 73. And so I was just like, okay, I want to live to be 120, but I don't want to live to be 120 and I can't do anything and I look like crap. And,
Yeah.
I don't want to live that kind of life. So then I was like, okay, well, how do I age better? And then I really started researching it. And a lot of it is that it is nutrition, right? If you look at a famous founder, Larry Ellison, and he started Oracle, if you look at him, he's 80 years old. And
Yeah.
nobody would see him that think that he was 80 years old, right? I mean, he looks now, my mom passed early, but he's 82. My dad's still really active. My dad still drives. My dad will get out there and trim trees. And so I'm hoping I get all of that from him, but my dad looks old. So I don't want to, I want to be active, but I
Yeah.
don't want to, look with my, wrinkly little face. I don't know what
Yeah.
it is. But I am super obsessed about that. And I know it's part activity. I know it's part sunscreen. I know it's part nutrition. I know it's part lots of different things. But I
Yeah.
think if we look better, we obviously feel better. And, there is a correlation there, right? I mean, so you can feel great, but if you look like crap on the outside, eventually you're not going to feel great, right?
I think joy plays a huge part in looking good and feeling good too. And
Oh, yeah.
you seem to have that high frequency energy. I'm picking that up from you. So I don't think you'll have any problem maturing well and still staying energetic and
Yeah.
having all of your wits about you even into more age. I don't doubt that.
Yeah, and there's a real truth to that because when I was with my ex-husband, I was getting sick all the time, right?
Yes,
And
my
because of the
goodness.
stress of dealing with that horrible environment that I was in. No joke, my doctor, because I was getting sick so much, and it wasn't with like a cold. I was getting pneumonia. I was getting kidney infections, really bad kidney infections. I was getting so sick that she actually wanted me to go get a psychiatric. She's like, something's wrong. She goes, I know you're not telling me. She goes, but there is something wrong. You should not be getting this sick. What is going on? And I couldn't tell her because I was in what I was in, but she knew something was up. And so it is when your body deals with that much stress or that much craziness. And the way, I mean, me and my kids had PTSD from that relationship. But when you're dealing with that, your body it can't deal. And so it's going to get sick. It's the immune system's going to come down. It's going to get sick. So, founders deal with a lot of stress. I don't know why God made us the way he did. But he did. And we will endure so much, risk and all these other different things to change the world and do all these things. We are a different breed, but the stress comes with it. We are a
Yeah.
little cray cray to some people. And you just got to understand that what that does to your body. And so if you are not doing self-care along with all the startup, you'll die early. You're going to start getting sick and you're going to start doing stuff like that. And you just got to be prepared for it. Then, and if I, for some reason, fall off the wagon of moving or I get really super busy and I don't move every day, I feel it. Like if I do like a week or two of that, I'm like, I feel so gross and like I can't
Yes.
think straight and I can't and then I'll be like, when's the last time I went on a walk?
Yeah.
And those kinds of things. So it does, my body does remind me pretty quickly now, like get your ass outside and go do something, you crazy woman.
The energy that we experience in our environment and the synergy that we have in our relationships, my God, plays such a huge part in just what we feel and how we show up and our confidence. So we have to have those great support systems in our community and definitely at home. Home needs to be more like a sanctuary instead of a battlefield. So I'm so happy to have you here, stress-free, that you're here to be able to share with us how you triumphed over that experience, because I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
As founders, you always have to have your game face on, right? You always have to be the energetic one. Everybody feeds off of you. And if you don't take care of yourself to where you can do that every day, yeah, you're going to get a pass here or there. That's fine. But if you're consistently angry or consistently depressed or consistently whatever, your business will fail. Like, let's not, parse words. It will fail because you are consistently depressed or you're consistently, if you cannot keep that energy level up, it's not going to work. So you have to figure out what that's going to do or how you're going to do that. How are you going to accomplish that goal to where you can keep your energy level up? And so you have to do the right things. You have to eat right. You have to exercise. You have to do those things. And, and you can get by for a little while, sure, but it's not going to sustain well. And it doesn't take very long for your employees to notice it, especially if you start with a high energy level and then you kind of dip down. You'll kind of notice that in how your employees respond to you. You kind of look at your company sales, like look at it and you'll see like, sales takes high levels of energy. It's an emotional response when somebody buys from you. And if you don't have high levels of energy or momentum or enthusiasm or whatever it might be to get someone to buy your product, and you don't have that, you're not going to make any sales. So it's really kind of an interesting thing. So you just have, this whole thing about self-care is true. You have to take care of yourself. And not only do you have to take care of yourself, so do your employees, so do your salespeople, anybody customer facing needs to take care of themselves, and make sure that, especially in startup land, they're like for you, like, and you're wearing multiple hats or maybe two of you or whatever it might be. And you just gotta, you can't win unless you take care of yourself. For sure.
I think that's a wonderful closing statement for our interview is you cannot win if you don't self-care.
No, we can't.
You can't. Let the audience know how we can connect with you, how we can find you, whether it be on social media, your website, services you offer, and how we can keep up with what's next for you in your company.
Well, I see how to get a hold of me. The easiest way is probably LinkedIn. I'm a LinkedIn queen. I'm on it all the time. So that's good. And then, so Amy Polvado, and you can find me there. And then Facilimax is the name of my company. And then I also the chair of the US Proptech Council. So I'm at the Proptech Council website too. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me. So yeah, LinkedIn or through one of my websites. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for your time today, Amy. I appreciate all of the transparency. You have definitely been very just transparent and genuine with us. Thank you for your nuggets of wisdom. I hope that the audience takes heed to all of those things that you shared about CRM, building community, keeping authentic connections with people in your network and in your niche. Yeah. Like I learned so much just in this short 45 minutes.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.